Hi, and welcome back to Echoes from the Satellite. I'm Karen. And yes, it's been a while. I know. No, I didn't fall into a black hole. I wasn't abducted by aliens. Nothing so terribly exciting like that. Unfortunately, it was just life kind of getting in the way of being able to come back and record. Um, I have to say, I really envy a lot of the booktubers that I follow. A lot of y'all seem to be retired, which I hope I will be able to do someday soon. But I see you guys out there enjoying life and making a lot of videos. And I was recently watching Richard Rempel over on Vintage SF putting together his dream library. And I was just like, oh, I really wish I could do that one of these days. So, yeah, when I see everybody putting all these great videos together and stuff, and I'm sitting here either working or doing something else, it's like, "Grr." But yeah, just a lot of work happening lately. And then it's also the time of year here in Arizona, also known as the seventh level of hell, where it's actually somewhat pleasant to be outside. Even though we've been, like a lot of the Southwest, we've been getting a surprising amount of high temperature days. Um, Still, for us, if it's under 100 degrees, it's like, hey, you can go outside. Um, so been enjoying some spring training baseball, which is always fun this time of year. So been spending some time on the weekends doing that, and then going out to some other activities. And one of these activities was the Tucson Festival of Books. So uh, they've been hosting this Festival of Books for years now, and I this is only the second one that I've gone to. I went about 3 years ago, and it's really neat. It's just a huge 2 day gathering of a bunch of book nerds, and they host it on the University of Arizona campus. Um, some of the uh, some of the activities are inside campus rooms, classrooms, and stuff. Some of them are in this area where they take a there's like this mile-long green space on the campus, and they put up tents, and so they have all kinds of panels and other discussions in the tents. The national parks comes there, and they're represented with books and panels, and they'll show videos of animals and talk about different things happening in the parks. They have a store too. They'll do a presentations on cookbooks and have people cooking. And then in all the different rooms, you'll find mystery writers, sci-fi writers, fantasy writers, just all kinds of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. And I got this new shirt there, which I think you'll all approve of. It's not hoarding if it's books. We know that's true. Um, One thing about the book festival, though, is that most of the books tend to be new books, and because they're selling new books, they're pretty pricey. They're all hardback. Like a lot of you, I'm used to going into the used bookstore and grabbing a pile of paperbacks and paying, a couple of bucks a piece. So when I'm faced with like $25, $30 for a hardback, I just about pass out from, sheer shock. I did pick up a couple of books though, and I'm going to talk about one because it's definitely genre related. I will show you both though. The first one that I got, I'll show you here. Ooh, where is it? There it is. This is Polar War by Kenneth Rosen. And so this book was interesting to me because it's talking all about how, with the ice melting around the Arctic, we're seeing a lot more involvement of the major powers. Everybody, the US, Russia, China is all starting to get a little more active up there and heating up, heating up the Arctic. So that is of interest to me, and I bought that. But the book I'm going to talk about today is this second book, which has a fantastic title. If anyone builds it, everyone dies. Why superhuman AI would kill us all. And this is by Eliezer Yudkowsky and Nate Soares. Now, Nate was actually at the book festival, and he appeared at two different panels that I attended. And that's primarily why I bought the book, because I was really um, just taken by what he had to say about AI. It was alarming, I have to say. And I thought it was really interesting and something that I would want to read more about. And so Nate is actually been in the AI field for many years. He formerly worked at Microsoft and Google. Now he is the president of an organization, and it made me chuckle. The acronym is MIRI, MIRI, but it stands for Machine Intelligence Research Institute, and they're a nonprofit group that really focuses on safety with AI. And so the book is about looking at this idea of superhuman AI. So not, or super intelligent AI, not the kind of AI that most of us probably deal with, like Chat GPT, et cetera. But this idea of a super intelligent AI. And in fact, back in 2023, there was a group of, I think, over 100 researchers, AI researchers, who signed a letter that was warning about the possibility of the development of a superhuman AI or super intelligent, I keep saying superhuman, super intelligent AI that could lead to human extinction. And so, even though these experts within the field were raising the alarm on this, the problem is there is so much profit to be made from making smarter and smarter AIs. Um, None of these companies, there's no incentive for them to stop, basically. There's no reason for them to stop. The problem is nobody knows when they're going to kind of go over the edge and create this super intelligent AI. And that was one of the more interesting things in the book, is that um, the whole process by which they develop and train AI is really still, as Nate puts it, more akin to alchemy than a science. And, uh, when you think about working with computers, using programs, there's coding. You build in lines of code, and then if you run the program and it makes a mistake, you go back and you look at the code and, oh, it's line 43, I wrote this wrong. You can't actually do that with AI. AI is more black boxish in that, they put some things together. He, as Nate describes it in the book, he says it's more like growing something than crafting something. And so it's harder for anyone to go in and figure out what's actually happening, because there is no lines for them to examine. They can't really examine what's going on, and it's harder to actually understand what the processes are within these AI that they're building. Um, and one of the concerns is that because they've seen the AI we have now, like the Claudes and ChatGPT, tested in different ways and found that they actually sometimes lie or cheat. The concerns are, if we get a super intelligent AI, one, we may not know that it's super intelligent because it could be lying to us and hiding it. And, you know, two, it may have its own goals or motives, and we would not know this. And so, all of these things add up to a very concerning scenario. And they build out a narrative through the book, a scenario about a super intelligent AI that they call Sable. And so, on one hand, you're getting a lot of information about the industry, about how these AI are created, but you're also getting a story that weaves this idea of what would happen if there was a super intelligent AI. And I think one of the things that was really interesting to me um, was this concept that, this could happen, and it wouldn't be like maybe like a lot of the science fiction films that we all know. It wouldn't be this malevolent AI that hated us and wanted to kill us. It would just be that we were inconvenient. We were in the way. And there's this part in the book where they kind of describe that um, to it to the reader. And so I'll read you a little part here. And so taking on the role of the super AI, it says humanity is an inconvenience to you. For example, if you allow humans to run around unchecked, they could set off their nuclear bombs. Maybe that wouldn't destroy you if you'd taken halfway decent precautions, like burying your automated infrastructure underground. But the radioactivity would still make it harder to build precise electronics on Earth. So you'd rather hominids not have nukes. And if humanity had already built you, they could build another superintelligence if left alone and free and still in possession of their toys. Those other superintelligences might be actual threats, even if the end result would be a treaty and coordination rather than war. Why split the galaxy with a rival superintelligence if you don't have to? That means only getting half as much stuff. So you are, as a machine intelligence, looking for a way to relieve the humans of their most dangerous toys, the nuclear weapons and the computers. That is a motive just by itself. Separately, you're probably doing things on and with Earth or in the rest of the solar system that are hard for humanity to survive, even if they are otherwise left alone. What's the limiting factor on how much you can do with Earth? How much computation you can do on Earth, or how much matter you can fling from Earth into space to build solar panels to harvest even more energy from the sun? Is it the number of factories? In a well-automated economy, your factories will build more factories and more power plants and double repeatedly until they hit a limit. That limit isn't the amount of fuel. There's enough hydrogen in the oceans to power quite a lot of nuclear fusion. Rather, the limit on how much energy you can safely generate on Earth is how much heat Earth can radiate away into space before the surface gets too hot and your power plants and factories all melt. But the hotter Earth is, the more heat it radiates away each day. So you prefer to run your factories hot. The maximum temperature for fusion plants and factories can probably go up to a few hundred degrees at least, hot enough to boil the oceans. Human beings would not survive that. Humanity could plausibly die earlier in this scenario if one of your early phases involved extracting all the chemical energy in Earth's biosphere by burning all the life forms, which would release an amount of energy equivalent to a week's worth of incoming sunlight. A week might seem like a very long time if you think 10,000 times as fast as a human. And why should you pass up all that chemical energy when it's right there? Humanity would die even quicker still if you, the superintelligence, have, in this scenario, an early use for carbon or any of the other matter making up a human being. You wouldn't need to hate humanity to use their atoms for something else. I just found that particularly chilling to think about. Um, it's just resource competition, and we would probably lose. And it wouldn't, again, it wouldn't be out of malice. It would just be they needed things. They needed the superintelligence needs materials to build more and more of itself to replicate. And, we would have been in the way, right? And it may sound far-fetched, but if you think about everything that's been achieved with AI um, in the last few years, all of it has come a lot faster than people predicted years ago. They talk about that in the book as well. So it's particularly concerning that nobody has a good sense of like when this super intelligence could be achieved. What are the sort of metrics around it? Like when we have how many of what would we get super intelligence? Nobody knows. It's really a wide open field, and it's ill defined. And but yet everyone's motivated to keep going, and nobody's really able to stop because people say, well, if I don't do it, if our company doesn't do it, that company will do it, or that nation will do it. So yeah, very, very eye-opening book. And especially for those of us, I think, who either use AI, like I know in my work, I do a lot of analysis. of like organizations and individuals, and we've had to incorporate AI in different ways. And when it first came out, like Chat GPT and Claude, all the other ones, we first looked at them, they weren't very good. They hallucinated a lot. So we weren't using it very much, but now we are using it a lot more. We're using a lot more AI tools. And that's in the course of just a handful of years. Um, I think this is a very concerning issue. And you could think of a lot of science fiction films. I was thinking of Colossus, the Forbin Project, or you think of things like Dune, where they got rid of the computers, right? And you had the mentats. So it's a very science fiction-y topic, but it's here and it's in our reality, and we're going to have to deal with it. So, not to be a downer, but I did think it was a really interesting book. And again, the title is just killer. Ah, if anyone builds it, everyone dies. So, highly recommend it if you're interested in this topic. It's a quick read. It was like 230 pages. And they do have, interestingly enough, like at the end of most chapters, they have a little QR code. And if you click on that, you can go and they have like other information, other things you can read. So if you're really, really into it, they have other resources, which I think is pretty neat. So that's about it for this week. Like I said, sorry for the long delay. It was not intentioned. There were many times I wanted to start, but I just didn't have the time to make a video. But luckily today I was able to do it. And I do have a couple of other things planned. So there's some more topics coming soon, including I think I had mentioned I was going to do some comics. So that's already started. But hope everybody's doing well. Um, Stay safe out there. A lot of crazy stuff happening, but I hope everybody's okay. And I just want to say thanks for those of you who have been watching and commenting. I really appreciate that. And I will see you all again shortly.